on this best practice webinar from St. Luke's preschool outreach, recognizing that a significant number of families are unchurched or underchurched. So the preschool ministry at St. Luke's has formed a program and a special best practice that you're going to share with us this afternoon. Before we do that, let's begin with prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather as educators and receive information and hear about a best practice that is touching lives at St. Luke's. May we gather that information, receive that with grateful hearts. We ask that you would bless presentation day and bless the ministry of our Lutheran schools. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen. We're here to hear for Colleen and Pastor Brian from St. Luke's on our preschool outreach for this webinar. Pastor or Colleen?
Thank you, Stu. We're happy to be here, happy to be a part of this webinar, and excited to talk about some of the opportunities that the Lord has given to us. I'm Pastor Brian Roberts. I'm the Director of Outreach here at St. Luke's, and part of the outreach that, of course, we organize in our ministry here is our school. I also have Colleen with me, and I'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Colleen Grillo. I'm one of the preschool teachers here at St. Luke's. I work with 1-year-olds and 3-year-olds, and I've been doing this for many, many years, and I'm very excited about this ministry that we're working on here at St. Luke's.
I'm very happy to have Colleen here because I have no idea how to work with 1-year-olds and 3-year-olds. So we're blessed with a lot of very talented and capable people here at St. Luke's. Colleen's going to kind of get us going here, and we're going to be tag teaming back and forth in our conversation. We also look forward to comments or questions that you might have. So as you have those, please feel free to jot them down. We're going to keep an eye on them and do our best to try to answer them as quickly as possible as they appear. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right. So the question is, how do we provide the opportunity for our unchurched school families to connect with us in worship? We need to make it intentional.
Indeed, intentional is the approach that we've taken. As we talk about, as we go through the presentation today, some of the things that we're going to talk about is how our preschool outreach started. We're going to talk some about our Preschool Sundays and the details associated with that. But in addition to that, we're going to talk a little bit about how we encourage an outreach mindedness with our teachers and aides and staff at the preschool, as well as some of the church events that we have here and how we connect with that with our preschool outreach as well. And then also a baptism class that we just recently started and saw some success as far as outreach is concerned as well. So how we started basically was that we recognized that the preschool had a rather large number of unchurched or dechurched families, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40 to 50%. Our preschool is about 175 students, and so that's a pretty significant number of families that on their registration forms have indicated that they're not associated with a church. Now, the reason why that is so high, we believe, is because Florida has a free pre-kindergarten education program, which is called VPK, and that makes preschool available to a lot of families that might not otherwise have access to it. It brings a lot of families who are not associated with St. Luke's to our school. And we realized that we then had an opportunity to reach out to a lot of unchurched families who come onto our campus daily. These are people who drive to St. Luke's and drop their kids off, and we have this opportunity to spend some time not only with their children, but also with them. And there's not too many other examples where you have ministry where people are driving to you on a regular basis. And so we saw that as a very important opportunity for us to take advantage of. So we formed a outreach committee, which was formed to discover and encourage deeper relationships among these preschool families and the church, since it's always about relationship in our relationship to Christ. we saw that as our primary goal. The committee consists of pastoral staff, primarily myself, and also preschool staff, and this committee meets monthly during the school year. One of the members of the committee, as we were talking about what we could be doing, suggested that if the children sing in church, the parents will have to bring them. Kind of an obvious thing, and so we developed this idea called Preschool Sundays, where we would have the opportunity for the children to come to church service and sing in that church service, participate in that church service, and we thought that this was a great way to introduce people to our worship experience and to our church community through the delight of watching their children participate in worship. Parents love to see their kids participate, especially with singing, and so this was just a wonderful match. What we want to do now is take a quick look at a interview that we conducted with one of our members who talked about the experience of Preschool Sundays.
All right, so the first one was, what was your reaction to the Preschool Sunday that you attended?
Well, I love Preschool Sunday. I love to see children. Since I retired here, I just love any occasion when I can see children because I miss the children. So it was an exciting part for me.
Okay. What did it add to the worship experience?
Well, I think seeing children in church like that makes everyone feel good. I noticed Sunday when we did have Preschool Sunday, people were sitting on the edge of their seats. They were looking over, trying to see the children. There were smiles on people's faces as you looked around the congregation. They loved it too, and I think it gives you a feeling that there's a future for the church when you see children, because I've gone to churches where there's very few children in the congregation, and you wonder where this church is going to go without the future being there.
The next generation, yeah.
Yes, the next generation is just not there. So it was great.
Very good. Well, you kind of answered that second part there then. So hop into the next one. How do you feel that the Preschool Sunday might impact the outreach of those in the St. Luke's Lutheran School area?
Well, I think it reaches a lot of people that might not get reached. For instance, there might be a lot of parents that are not churchgoers that do come to Preschool Sunday, and something in the sermon or something in the hymn, something in the service in general might reach them, and they might want to know more, and they might want to come back. For instance, Sunday we had 9 preschoolers baptized because of the outreach of Preschool Sunday. They wanted to know more about our church. They took a class with the pastor and found out about baptism, and then they wanted their child baptized. So it was a good thing to do this. So they are getting a feeling for what we teach here and who Christ is, and so they want to be a part of it through their child.
Let's see if our sound is working okay. Do you hearing anything?
I can hear you, Steve.
Okay, thank you. We're getting some indication that maybe we weren't being heard. Apologize for the delay. The next thing that we wanted to take a look at was the same member just commenting a little bit more about community, and apart from St. Luke's Preschool Sunday, just how that kind of affects the community of the church.
And I see that there's a question that popped up about how many preschoolers we have in our school. We have about 175 preschoolers, which about 40 to 50% on church, so we're at 80 to 90 students that are not baptized or churched at this point.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a look at a little bit more of the video here.
I think you might have answered this next little part here. It was a continuation to question number 2. It said, what could it mean to those people who attend only to hear a family member sing with the preschool?
Yes, I think there are some there that come only because their child is singing and they are not churchgoers, but something. I think the preschool here is doing a lot to make for outreach activities through the year, and having these preschool Sundays just makes them reach more people. I think it's a fantastic way of bringing people into the church that are not churchgoers, and I think this is a very good thing, and I think it will bring many to Christ through activities like Preschool Sunday and others. I know you have other activities throughout the year that bring the parents to the school, but this does bring children and parents to Sunday services. Hopefully they also are given a list of classes they could attend, and Sunday school classes that their child could attend. So hopefully they know what those classes are. They are also, I hope, informed about our Lenten services and Advent services and so forth, and make them feel like they are very aware of what is going on a regular basis here on our campus.
Dan, preschool in a similar setting, and how do we encourage families to come? We basically don't require the children to sing, but we try to generate within the classrooms and the children a sense of excitement about being a part of the singing and being part of participating together. And we kind of lean heavily on the children telling the parents, we really want to be there, we really want to be a part of this. Most parents are pretty open to being a part of something like coming to watch their kids sing, and so we haven't seen really any pushback related to that. Your next question is very timely, and that is how often do we offer these Sundays? Well, as you can see on the slide, we do it 3 times a year. We start off in the fall, somewhere around October. That gives the preschool a chance to practice some of the songs, and the kids are prepared to be able to sing then, sing anywhere from 2 or 3 songs. And then the next time we do it is right around February. And this is kind of tied in a little bit with the baptism class that we've added. In January, the preschool is part of their education module teaching about baptism. And so we've plugged into that, and we've seen the Preschool Sunday in February as an opportunity to highlight baptism in the worship service. And then in spring, we sing after Easter. They have been preparing prior to that to sing Easter songs, and they've also by this time had a chance to learn the Lord's Prayer. And so in the spring event, they not only sing, but they lead the congregation in saying the Lord's Prayer, which is about as cute as you can get. To see those little ones up there saying the Lord's Prayer in the congregation following their lead. The last 2 years in the spring, we discovered that if we schedule Preschool Sunday right after Easter, the Sunday after Easter, in fact, Low Sunday, that it's a nice little boost for attendance on a Sunday where sometimes we see a little bit lower attendance than normal, and we've had some real good success with that. We select those dates based on the church calendar, of course. We have to keep an eye on all the other things that are going on. We try not to do it on a communion Sunday because of the length of the service. Also, if we have a lot of non-church people there, it's just something that they're not as connected to and familiar with. And so we try to keep the service as simple as possible, keeping in mind that we have people who perhaps have stepped into the church for the first time, and we don't want to overburden them with too many things going on. It's a bit of an accommodation to the folks in our preschool community, but it's a blessed thing, and we keep an eye on those kinds of schedules. All in all, it's gone very well with 3 times a year. The preschool has plenty of time to practice and prepare, and it's also something that doesn't overburden the parents. They're not coming every month or something like that, and then they get tired of it and start to fall off the habit of coming to these events. All right, going on, Colleen's going to kind of jump in from here.
All right, now you want to know what happens on a Preschool Sunday. Preschool Sunday, we select prayers and songs based upon the church calendar. As Pastor Roberts noted before, like Easter songs at Easter time. We also relate it to school devotions and our classroom studies. We also give parents a copy of our monthly devotions, the songs and the prayers, so they can practice the songs with their children at home too. Typically, each Preschool Sunday, we perform 2 to 3 songs. Sometimes it's 2 songs and a prayer, just based on the needs and the calendar at that time. During the selected service, which Pastor Robert said we're 3 times a year, the preschool staff and children are invited forward. And at that time, we share the songs and prayers that the students have been practicing in front of the congregation. At times, we found it better to have it in sync with the children's message, as the children are already forward, and they can just turn around and receive a children's message at that time, and it eases up the transitions that the kids have to make. As being so young at that time, sometimes that can be difficult, especially for the fall one. At the end of the service, we've also found that very effective towards the end of the school year, when they're a little bit more independent and confident with the routine that we're asking them to go through. And a lot of times we'll do 2 songs. The congregation will sing a verse with us at times, which we have found to be very powerful to bring the congregation in to sing with the children. The children stay forward, and then the benediction and the Lord's Prayer. We discover the process goes more smoothly if the staff come forward first, and then the children are asked to come forward, because if everybody comes forward at one time, sometimes the kids would get a little confused. There's a picture coming up of a Preschool Sunday performance. You can see the children are in different colored shirts. Through trial and error over the past few years, we realized that it's hard for the kids to find their teachers sometimes, and likewise it's hard for the teachers to find their students. So we found our school has special event shirts, so we've added that to our special events, and each class is color-coded, which kind of helps the traffic flow for the kids to find the teachers and the teachers to find the children. It just kind of eases up the traffic flow.
Next, we're going to talk a little bit about what happens as we experience a Preschool Sunday. One of the things, of course, as Colleen has mentioned, is that the children's message is pretty important on a Sunday like that. Now, here at St. Luke's, we don't always have a children's message in every service, but we make sure that we do for Preschool Sundays. And this can be kind of an important moment, as the slide says, that since a lot of children, for a lot of children, this is their only experience to a Sunday morning worship. We want to make it something that they're excited about. We want to make it something that is kind of fun for them and something that the parents enjoy and they see as a learning experience, a positive experience for their children. And so, I picked the wrong slide here. So this is a picture that we have of a children's message on a Preschool Sunday, and you can see some of the T-shirts back there from the preschoolers, along with a bunch of the other children in the congregation. And it can be just a real delightful experience, not only for the kids, but also for the parents as they see their children participating in this special way. So that's an important part of Preschool Sunday for us as well.
In prepping for the Preschool Sunday, as the committee meets monthly, we set the dates, and then 2 weeks prior to each of the dates, a committee member meets with the music director. We review the order of service. It's also important that the songs and the music throughout the service are child-friendly. Yeah,
they're jumping in here. It's working with the music or worship director is very important to gear that service so it's just easier on people, again, who are maybe not real familiar with the worship environment. And so the songs that we choose, we try to select songs that are very easy to sing along or maybe even somewhat familiar. For example, everyone knows Amazing Grace or something like that. We try to have the music that is child-friendly in the sense that there's maybe a lot of different kind of instrumentation and excitement about the worship service too. But it's important to keep in mind that people who are for the first time entering a church or one of the rare times entering a church, that we want to adjust to some of those expectations. It's also kind of an interesting experience in that because a lot of folks see the worship experience as more of an auditorium performance experience, you have to be kind of prepared to have parents up and walking around and talking maybe a little bit louder than members of the congregation would, and it's just kind of a little different feel, and helping the congregation understand that this is part of their outreach to the congregation or to the folks in the preschool, to be accommodating, understanding of that, and so forth. It's kind of a unique experience on those Sundays.
So for each of the preschool Sundays, there's a bulletin that's created that's separate that reflects the changes that will be for that service, and also just gives the parents a little bit more information about the church. Also, prior to the preschool Sunday, we reserve a gathering area for fellowship following the service, where we also provide cookies. We found that it's very important for the families to have that time for fellowship following the service, where they get to talk about the service, see some parents that they may not necessarily see as they may be working parents. So it gives them that opportunity. So just offering them cookies gives them that time and opportunity in the place also to gather. The pastors are available to come out, and also with the staff.
Again, just a very powerful relationship building time. We offer the treasure of cookies. The kids run out there, the parents have to follow, and it becomes a great experience.
Also in the prep work, we notify the AV department and request that they take some group photos during the preschool Sunday. We use those photos to help the staff identify some of the students who were there, to take a count. We do take an attendance for that Sunday. As it's a busy Sunday, it's hard for the teachers to always remember who was there. So we use that picture to aid in recognizing all of the children. We also send home invitations to each of the families, making them aware of the preschool Sunday. During our staff meetings, we also discuss the songs and prayers that we'll be using so the teachers can prepare the students in the class. And there's also a sign-up sheet created for staff to have greeter positions for different entrances. We just want to make sure that all of the preschool families that are coming in see familiar faces and are comfortable entering into an environment which they may not be familiar with. So to try and ease any anxiety or tension that the families have, we try to be very present on those Sundays to ease the families. We are also asking, as we showed you in the picture, to wear their colored shirts, as I said before. Just kind of helps in the crowd control. If you don't have event shirts, even just class colors would be a great way to help. It's just something that helps everybody kind of feel more comfortable. It's also very beautiful to look at in the picture, to see the different classes and like a rainbow of students up front. Committee members also work with the pastoral staff. We create scripts to help them with the announcements prior to the performance. As I noted before, some of the performances come mid-service during the children's message, and some performances come towards the closing announcements. So the pastors prep the church to, like in Easter time. Pastor Roberts, I don't know if you want to talk.
Sure. Yeah, we asked, as you've heard, we asked that the teachers come forward first before the children do. And so as the teachers are coming forward, what we'll do then is comment on maybe the different nature of the song. For example, during the Easter season, the kids are going to sing Alleluias, and they've been told during the Lenten season that their Alleluias have been put away, and now at Easter they can bring their Alleluias back out. and celebrate the resurrection of Christ. And so for the congregation to know that the kids are singing Alleluia in their song, that is a very meaningful thing for the kids. It just makes it that much more meaningful for the congregation and the parents.
Lynn, I'm going to jump in now. I see you have a question. Do we have a preschool Christmas program? Yes, we do have a preschool Christmas program. Our Christmas program occurs during the school week. We do not have it on a Sunday, so the Preschool Sundays are a separate entity from the preschool Christmas program. We also have an end of the year program, which is also during the year. And John is wondering if the PowerPoints will be available, and I believe, yes, the PowerPoints will be available.
Our next slide is an example of what the parent invitation kind of looks like, and Colleen can comment on that a little bit. Yes.
The parent invitation goes home. We just talk about what the day is, what will be expected on that day. We want parents and families to feel very comfortable with what's going to be coming up. We don't want them to feel anxious about anything. At times, we've offered special treasures. We've kind of tweaked it a little bit, and at this point, we're doing mostly just the cookies. But in the case of like a trunk or treat or something following it, we would tweak the note to kind of meet the needs of the time. And also just a reminder to the parents that the children need to wear their special event shirts. I see Stu is asking if we have a lot of picture taking during the service. Yes, we do. And that's something that we as a congregation have kind of worked with the families. We don't want it to be just a performance for the families. We want it to be a worship experience, but also recognizing that they're there in that moment and that they're receiving Jesus and Christ, and that we're just happy that they're there. They do get reminders that it is a worship service, and that if they are choosing to take pictures or video record, that they please not use a flash. And I see Katie is saying, does all of your staff attend your church?
Not all the staff attends, but they're pretty committed to Preschool Sundays. So we'll see members of our staff who are not members of our congregation join us for worship and be a part of that experience on a Sunday morning. The majority of our staff does, but not all of them. And Dan asked, have you had any issues with parents who have indicated they do not want their children's picture taken? Yes, we do have that as well. The picture taking that we do is for our internal use, if you will, just to be able to help identify who was there. We do have waivers that are signed, and we have to be very careful about whether parents or whether pictures will be put online, and we watch out for that pretty carefully. Our computer has just decided to throw another window up, so now we're bringing back our slide presentation here, so pardon the delay on that.
Sophia, I see you're wondering if staff members and children come up for several different times during one worship. If we have a children's message, the children will come up at that time, which is mid-service, and then we'll also come up at the end if we're having our performance at the end. We try to limit the movement just because it's easier for the little kids and their legs. Our preschool spans from 1-year-olds through 5-year-olds, so we try to take into account that there may be some itty-bitty 1-year-olds that are trying to make it up front.
We only have one time a year at the Easter time where we actually have the kids singing at the end of the service because of the Lord's Prayer that they're leading, which typically comes at the end of the service. The other times they sing mid-service and we have the children's message right then. So we only do that once a year, but we haven't seen it to be too much of a difficulty. It's a little more travel time, but they seem to do fine with it.
Marie, I see you want to add a waiver that you use to the presentation when it is posted on the portal. We'll have to take a look at that and get back to you.
Okay, great questions, guys. Thanks. We really appreciate that. We're going to keep going. If you have any other questions, just type them in.
Now we're up to the staff sign-up sheet. That's just to kind of help the staff to make sure that all our entrances are covered. We want to make sure that there are staff to meet people at every entrance of the church. We also have floor assistants. From the picture, I don't know if you remember seeing, we had most of the staff up front with the children. We do have one or two staff members who may not be as comfortable being up in front of the congregation, so we also allow them to have a job too, and they're kind of the ones who watch the kids. If any of the kids look sad or scared, they can go up front and kind of assist at that time. We also have staff that are kind of the leads for making sure the cookies are arranged and ready. And I see you have the photo waiver. Yes, same question. So we do have photo waivers that the parents sign at the beginning of the year for their photos to be included. We do not actually have a video for our actual Preschool Sunday in this presentation for that very issue, because we do have students who were not able to be used for that purpose. So, all right, so we have a rehearsal. As I noted before, we have the information that goes home so the students can practice it with their parents. The teachers are also made aware of the songs and the prayers, so we also practice it in our classroom. We practice it throughout the day. The big point is to try and get the kids really excited about it, to talk about it, so when they go home, they're like, Mommy, Daddy, we want to go to church, we want to sing, it's a Preschool Sunday. And it gets a lot of times it's the kids that get the parents most excited and that draw them into the church because they know their friends are going to be there. We also have a rehearsal. We have a weekly chapel service. So the week prior to the Preschool Sunday, we'll have one great practice in the chapel. So coming up, you will see our classroom rehearsal video and also our chapel rehearsal video. When we get to the classroom or the chapel rehearsal video, you'll see that we do have one staff member that's designated to kind of lead the children, just to keep the kids' eyes focused on one director, and the rest of the staff is there just to assist.
All right, friends, we're going to practice for Preschool Sunday. Are you ready?
Yeah!
We're going to get our crosses out. On the cross of Calvary, Jesus died for you and me. In the tomb my Savior lay, but the stone was rolled away. Yes, He is risen. Yes, He is risen. Yes, He is risen. Christ Jesus lives today. Great, we're going to sing that song on a Preschool Sunday, and who's going to be there to watch us?
You!
Me, your teachers, and who else?
Mommy!
Mommies, Daddy.
Daddy!
Yes, and everybody's going to be there.
And my sister!
All right, thank you.
The next video that will come up, that's our chapel rehearsal, which is the full preschool.
As you probably heard at the end of that video, the teacher was saying that the kids or the congregation was going to join the kids in singing, and we've done that the last 2 times and have discovered something very powerful. When we print out the words, at least of one of the songs that the kids are singing, and invite the congregation to join in singing one of those verses or a couple of those verses, that's been very exciting for the congregation. It draws them in. The kids love the fact that the congregation is participating with them. And if any of you out there are considering doing a preschool Sunday, have the kids sing, but if it's a song that the congregation may know, print it out in the bulletin, have the congregation sing the last verse or the verse with them. That's been a very positive thing that we've done.
All right, so after all the prepping and the rehearsing, the Preschool Sunday finally is here. That day, the people who signed up on the volunteer sheet take their positions to make sure all the families are greeted and they all feel comfortable coming into church. The opening announcements by the pastors welcome the school families, specifically the preschool families, and then at the predetermined point in the service, the pastor invites the preschool teachers to come forward, as we talked about before, and then the preschool children are invited to come forward just to make it easier for the kids to find their teachers. The children perform their song, and then when the children are finished, the parents are asked to stand up if it's in the middle of the service, and that way the kids are able to find their families because their parents are standing up and the rest of the congregation is seated. If we do our performance at the end of the service, the parents are asked to come forward and pick up their children from the altar area, and the staff sits and waits with the students. Also on that day, the general announcements at the end remind the preschool parents and children to join the staff for reception and cookies. Just an important time to build that fellowship, to connect families that maybe you wouldn't otherwise connect, and to give the children an opportunity to connect with their friends outside of the classroom. We do have one picture of a preschool Sunday. You can see this was from a couple years ago, before our shirt. It's beautiful to see the kids up there, but at that time it was a little tricky for the teachers to kind of locate who their students were. So that's based on this, we decided that color coding the shirts would be a great way to help manage the kids and make it more successful.
If you look at the very bottom of that picture, you'll see a row of heads and hands. We have preschool teachers there helping the kids sing, but you'll notice if you can look in closely, you'll notice a lot of cameras being held up. So the question earlier about a lot of pictures being taken, yeah, a lot of parents will come forward. We discourage flash pictures just because of the distraction, but we try to encourage, or we don't necessarily encourage, it just happens. The parents come forward and they want to take pictures of it. Yeah, we have a question about the communion, where in the picture, and that was one of the learning curves that we had in terms of having Preschool Sunday on a Communion Sunday. The length of the service that Sunday was candidly too long, and so with all those visitors, we do have as our custom an announcement that we make just prior to communion, inviting members of the congregation, or inviting worshipers there to look at a rite of preparation that we have at the front of our bulletin. We mentioned that if they've not been instructed in the faith concerning the meaning of the meal, or if they don't feel prepared for communion that day, that they are welcome to remain in their pews. If they'd like to come forward and receive a blessing, all they need to do is cross their arms in front of them. So that's how we handle that, but we find that it's just a lot easier to choose a Sunday that doesn't have communion. Kids are fidgety. Some of them just don't know how to sit still in the church environment that long, and so we try to keep things a lot simpler for the families.
And Sophia, I see you're asking what the average percentage of families that participate are. Typically it's about 30 to 40% of our families that will attend on a preschool Sunday.
Okay, continuing on then, of course, follow-up is very important. That's part of the reason why we're doing this, is to be able to try to encourage that connection. So following the service, we asked the staff to record the names of the students that they recall who were there. We collect names from the pictures that we've taken of the kids singing up there, just kind of review who was there and pick up any that we have missed. We'll send out a thank you notes from the preschool that's personally addressed to each child who has attended. It's always exciting to get mail, especially as a young one, and this is a chance to say thank you for being there to the children. We also do our best to gather the attendance information into a spreadsheet so that we can start to see whether certain families are attending regularly. Maybe they're involved in some other church activities, and we just basically try to cross-reference to see a level of interest there. And based on that level of interest, they may be a family that is ready to have a pastor contact them or some other form of contact and maybe draw them in just a little bit more. Pastors and specific teachers are made aware of these families, as I say, to indicate who have indicated maybe a little bit more interest and desire to know more about St. Luke's. Of course, if a family fills out a guest card that's in our pew rack, they'll go ahead and receive kind of the normal response from our church, which is a handwritten note from a pastor followed by a phone call. We'll have an email contact as well, and just kind of our normal follow-up there for any visitor who's there on a Sunday. We have had several families join St. Luke's as a result of having been introduced to our congregation through Preschool Sunday, which has been very good fruit. It doesn't happen overnight. It's usually as a result of increased relational type experiences, positive experiences that finally kind of coalesce into the decision to be a part of our church family, and that has been a very positive experience. We have kind of one special story. A little girl persuaded her unchurched grandfather to attend. She basically said, "Grandpa, I want you to come see me sing." And she was very persistent, and so he decided to come. He was very impressed with St. Luke's, and he began attending on more Sundays, and before long he became a member. And the powerful part of this story was that he passed away suddenly from a heart attack 3 weeks after joining, and the family in their grief just really are so thankful that they have the comfort of knowing that he was a believer prior to his death. And so, like I say, that was kind of a powerful part or a powerful story. But Preschool Sunday was all about that, and so we're just very pleased about that outcome.
This is a sample of the thank you notes that we send home to the different families. Each one is handwritten. We write the child's name on the top. Not only do we want the children to see their names and know that they were in church, but we also want the families to know that we did know they were there, and we appreciated that they came and that they came to worship Jesus with the rest of us and to become part of the St. Luke's community, even if it was for just that one Sunday. But we recognize that they were there. We appreciate that, and we want them to feel welcome to come back again. And I see Christy is asking that many of the families that joined your church via Preschool Sunday remain members. At this point, yes. We've seen an increase in members, and they're becoming more active in the church. They're taking on different roles, and a lot of it stems from them just being exposed to the community of the church, and a lot of it stems back to Preschool Sundays.
Yeah, exactly, and it's designed, if you will, as kind of the first door or open door into the congregation. They have all kinds of experience over on the preschool side, but it isn't necessarily connected to the church, at least in their mind or experience. And so we work to make that connection happen, and people have really become excited about being a part of St. Luke's. That kind of closes the preschool portion, but going on to some of the other opportunities that our preschool committee outreach committee has been looking at. One of the things is to just encourage the preschool teachers and staff to see that their work is an extension of the ministry of St. Luke's, that what they're doing is not just a preschool task, but it is a ministry task. And that involves the pastors being over there from time to time and interacting and interfacing with the teachers and the staff, and basically reminding them that what we're doing here is all kingdom work, and to help encourage them and energize them. And of course, one of the things we want to do is to let them know that the pastors and the church staff are ministry partners with them, and that we're working together in this effort, and that we want to be a team together in that respect. One of the ideas that we had just prior to this webinar, Colleen and I were in our preschool outreach committee meeting, and one of the ideas that began to emerge there just today was the idea that maybe we could try to connect with member families that are in the preschool, and to encourage those member families to be a little more intentional in their relationships with the other families that are in that preschool classroom, and help them see that they have some ministry opportunities with their fellow families and fellow students in the classroom. It's kind of an emerging idea. We're just getting there. Don't know exactly where that'll go, but we have some excitement about that. Dan asked, do you, as a committee, do anything like home visits with unchurched families? We will respond to that. It really is a matter of where they are in their level of interest. We don't want to kind of scare them away because they showed up on a preschool Sunday. And so seeing that as kind of introductory, and then adding on other kinds of relational experiences and interests that we have seen, we certainly would be willing to do that, but we're careful not to make it seem like Preschool Sunday is our way to show up knocking at your door and create an uncomfortable feeling about that.
And to add on to that, we as preschool staff are required to do home visits with each of our families prior to the school year. So we as teachers go in and we meet with the families, meet with the children, and at that time, you know, sometimes we talk about the church and the school and different things like that. So we can kind of start to get a feel what the family's church home is. Do they have a church home? How strongly do they feel about sending their child to a school with religion? And that's part of the reason that the pastors are so passionate about helping the teachers, because we really are the front line for a lot of those questions that parents may have right off the bat, even before the school year starts.
And Brenda, we on the one hand, we don't have intentional outreach training in the sense that there's a particular curriculum, but it is intentional in trying to encourage the relational part. And that's our primary goal, really, is just to encourage the relationships. Because ultimately that's what outreach really is. It's all about relationships, friendships, and so forth. So we encourage the teachers to be as relational as possible, and depending on the nature of those relationships, if the teacher confides or the parent confides in the teacher that there's some struggles going on in their life, then the opportunity for that teacher to respond in a friend kind of way is there, but also to ask the question, is it possible for a pastor to contact and maybe respond for some pastoral concerns and so forth. But our task is primarily the relational aspects of it.
Dan, we do offer parenting classes through the preschool. That's something that's offered typically every year or every other year in line with our curriculum in the preschool.
Okay, continuing on, kind of in line with what we were just saying too in terms of working with the staff, we will meet with them periodically, usually at the beginning of a staff meeting. We generally don't want to take up a whole lot of time since oftentimes they're already meeting a bunch as it is, but we'll apprehend a little bit of time at the beginning of a meeting and just talk about these things, to ask them to let us know about families that are in crisis or families that are showing more interest in the church, and maybe discuss what's the best way to respond. any questions that they might have about how to approach a family that maybe seems to have some interest or some concerns and so forth. One of the things that we do in our parent-teacher conferences is touch on the fact that we do take attendance for church and Sunday school. Some parents have wondered why we do this, and we don't intend to be attendance police, but we do want to encourage as much as we can and let the families know that we consider this to be a very important part of the life of folks here at St. Luke's. We recognize that the academics are a very important part. We want to give them a good quality academic experience, but that's only part of the story. The other part of the story is to involve the spiritual, and so that's why we encourage that and talk about those kinds of things. As I mentioned, or I guess I mentioned briefly earlier, that we will partner with the children's ministry here at St. Luke's, and a couple of things that our children's ministry will do will be to have a trunk or treat in October, a big event here that's a lot of fun for the kids. In the spring, of course, the Easter egg hunt, we call it the Easter egg extravaganza. And so we'll connect with the preschool and have the families at the preschool invited to come to this. Enjoy this. It's not a preschool Sunday, of course, but it's an opportunity to have a lot of fun with their kids as a family, and look for those opportunities to engage relationships here at the church. Now, something that we just added this year, a new dimension, is a baptism class. One of the things our preschool does beautifully is they emphasize baptism. And you probably heard in one video that they were singing This Little Baptismal Light of Mine. Baptismal birthdays are recognized in the preschool chapels, and part of the curriculum includes curriculum includes baptism instruction and so forth. And so we thought, well, if the children are learning about baptism, maybe some parents out there are interested in having more involvement in that. We realized that in a preschool that not a lot of children are baptized, and we suspected that some of the church families would be open to baptism. They just didn't have a church that they were in a relationship with. They just didn't have a connection. It just wasn't high on their priority list, but they would be open to it. So back later last year, I sent out a flyer that basically asked preschool families if they would be interested in a baptism class if we held one, and we received a pretty strong response. And so we went ahead and offered an introduction to baptism class for interested preschool families, emphasizing that we weren't going to turn them into members, and emphasizing that all it was an information time for them, but the possibility to have their child baptized would certainly be there. And so we had 9 families that had indicated interest in this class, and out of the 9, 7 families with 12 children signed up for the class. And the focus of our class was to provide a Lutheran understanding of baptism. What does it mean to be baptized in the Lutheran Church? But also to encourage parents to consider the importance of a faith legacy for their children too. In other words, to consider that this is the start of something, and that there is something very important in their life that needs to be nurtured and encouraged, and that is their spiritual life. And of course, not just their children, but also their families. We have a couple of questions that I want to get to here. Stu, how are you staffed for care ministry? The pastors are primarily involved in that. We have 3 pastors. We also have a vicar. And so for our member care and human care ministries, we generally handle most of that. Depending on the nature of crisis like a divorce or something, sometimes we may do some referrals to, there's a Lutheran counseling services that's available to us here in Orlando, and so we can access that as well, but primarily pastors are involved in that.
Oftentimes we as teachers see things that come up before the pastors may, so at that point we refer families to the pastors to make contact with the families, or refer the families to make contact with the pastors.
And Brenda, I'm going to read your question just to make sure I have it. Since all of your staff members are not members of your congregation, are they members elsewhere, or do you see them as an outreach opportunity as well? How do you get them to encourage families to get involved at the church when they themselves are not? They are involved in other churches, and our attitude, of course, is that we're talking about the kingdom here, and in that scenario, we don't make a lot of distinction. And they see that the kingdom work that is going on here at St. Luke's. That's the most logical place for that to be focused and directed, so they're very on board with that. And we don't have any real issues as far as their involvement in the different congregations. Is the baptism class a one-session event? It was this year, and that's really kind of coming up next year. We had a 2-hour class that we held on a Saturday morning, and since the preschool was teaching the children about baptism in its religious education during the second week in January, we chose January for the baptism class. It ended up being on Martin Luther King weekend. We were a little concerned that that might get in the way of people attending, but it ended up that they didn't. And so yeah, we had just that one session, and it was our plan to schedule multiple baptisms if the families were interested. Then on our upcoming Preschool Sunday in February, which was about 2 weeks from that. And the outcome, of course, was that that happened, and we were real excited about that. This slide shows a couple of pictures of the class in the classroom session there, and then I brought them out to our baptismal font, which is, for us, it's actually in the narthex of the church, and gave them a tour of the narthex and the font and also the church, just so that they would be that much more comfortable, excuse me, that much more comfortable on the day of baptism. But then on February 3rd, we ended up baptizing 9 children. Now 12 were baptized altogether, but only 9 were able to do it on that Preschool Sunday. And it was quite a sight to have all those families gathered around our baptismal font. And in some cases, we had not only the preschooler baptized, but we had 2 or 3 other siblings who had not yet been baptized in the family, from infants, as you can see, up to a couple of kids who are a little bit older than preschool age. So it was really a great celebration event. We made it special by having our baptisms at the end of the service. We normally do them at the beginning, but we really highlighted the nature of the celebration by having that at the end. And we ended up having the kids sing right after that. So we brought the whole preschool forward, and they sang This Little Baptismal Light of Mine, and you saw that in their practice in the earlier video. And then the rest of the congregation sang This Little Baptismal Light of Mine too, and it was really a very powerful and exciting moment, and we look forward to making that something that we do every year, and Lord, with the Lord's blessings, we'll see the same fruit.
This is kind of the wrap up for our presentation today. We have 2 very short videos. One is Mary Ann's final thoughts. This is a quick little blurb of Mary Ann's thoughts on what's coming, and then one more after that.
I have some idea. I think our preschool is doing a great job, really.
Yeah.
There are a lot of activities. That little child in church had a whole list of activities on the back of a shirt that the preschoolers indulge in during the year, and that brings parents on campus. Now we need to get them into the church, and I think that's what we're trying real hard to do. I don't know if
Okay, and we have one short little video on a child's perspective, because that's what it is all about. It's about bringing children and families to the Lord, and just seeing them excited about coming to the Lord and coming to Preschool Sunday is just the greatest blessing ever.
We're going to have a child have the last word as far as the presentation is concerned.
All right, what do you love about Preschool Sundays?
To sing to our family.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Pastor and Colleen,
right.
thank you for the
Okay.
thank you for your
We're done.
presentation. We look forward to hearing our next webinar next Tuesday, April 23rd. Invite an author, create a reader. Thank you for your presentation. Awesome information. What a wonderful blessing to hear the great news of God at work at St. Luke's. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.